Welcome to another episode of the New Labor Movement Show. I am one of your hosts, Troy.
I'm the other host, Ray.
Back for another week of local law, labor, and politics.
The first show wasn't long enough for us to settle our dispute, so it came into a second show. Here's part two. By the way, it's the only thing I think that I saw that I liked about HR 1, that it would be like a national commission, and they would set up the voting districts like a like a 9/11 commission. You get like eight X amount of Democrats, X amount of Republicans, and they would hash out, and it wouldn't be done on the state level, it'd be done nationally. And that would be the district. You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, the states would handle their own state, whatever your race was, you're running for state senator or state control, whatever, the states could draw up their own lines for those, but the federal government would draw up the lines for congressional districts.
I need to pick it apart and look at it, but I have heard like the high points or the main talking points, I would say, for HR 1. I haven't seen anything in it that I really don't agree with. So
so how about the fact that they want to register 16 and 17-year-olds?
That's in there?
Yes.
Okay, there goes one that I don't like.
What about the fact that they would make it basically they want to make it illegal to you can't ask anyone for photograph ID. The national standard would be, I'm going to sign an affidavit that I am this person and I am eligible to vote.
I don't like that. I don't like that either.
That's in there. They also basically what they want to do is they want to federalize the election. They want to have it so that they want to make it mandatory ballot. Like, in other words, no excuse ballot. And anyone who wants a ballot for any reason should get it.
I like that.
I know a lot of people think that's good. I just think that can't listen. Eventually, our kids or my grandkids are gonna be like,
when it comes to and it becomes fraud.
Vote on this.
When it comes to and it becomes fraud, then we will address it. To say now I don't want to do it because it may one day become fraud is not a good enough answer to say.
No, I think you open yourself for the potential of it, and I think you have to eliminate the potential until you find the potential. I think you have. There's certain
No.
I'll tell you why. One of the main reasons why we have smooth elections, in the sense that easy transfer of power. Think about it. No one thought Trump was going to leave office. He did.
No, that was not an easy or smooth transition of power. That was a hostile transition of power. It wasn't even a transfer. He didn't give him he didn't do any of the steps to be able to transfer from one administration to the other. Basically, he stopped working, cut everything off. Biden had to step in and just start from square one.
That's on one.
And then he went out with a bang as he incited
That's a lie. Don't say the vaccines. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Again?
Don't say anything about the vaccines. That's a lie.
No, I ain't gonna say the vaccine. I say and he went out, and it's not a lie. Well, I don't know what you think I was gonna say, but then he also went out with a bang as he it wasn't a peaceful transition of power, because right at the point where we are trying to certify the votes, he incited a attack on the Capitol.
I think it was a riot. I don't think it was an insurrection. I think there's a difference. But
I said attack on the Capitol. I didn't say insurrection. He incited an attack on the Capitol.
But listen, he left when no one thought he was going to leave. Listen, I was a big supporter of his, no doubt. I did not like the way I think he came across. I thought he had legitimate issues that he could have brought up. I think he overplayed his hand, and I think he came across like a sore loser.
He came across as the way he is.
Perhaps. I thought the way he came across was not great for the country. I mean, I think, first of all, unfortunately, it's a whole thing. I think, the fact that we have a president now, well, and he has done good things. I'll be honest, he's done more good things than I thought he would, because I thought he was going to be completely useless, because I think he's mashed potatoes. But I think the one thing my biggest flaw about Biden is he's like, Trump was so anti-swampy that they went against him.
He's so anti-swampy. That's so far unbelievable.
No, what I mean is he didn't play. In other words, when you get elected, you have to get things done, you have to get, to get, you got to give. And he didn't want to give anybody. He wanted it done his way. And the people who were already there said, no, no, no. But Biden is so to the other end. I mean, this bill he wants to pass, the infrastructure bill, I mean, it shouldn't be one massive bill. It should probably be like 4 or 5 bills. There should be a bill. There should be a bill about the actual infrastructure, bridges, roads, tunnels. Then let the American people vote on, let the people vote on electric cars, because you call it an infrastructure, but electric cars is really not about infrastructure. And then you have this other stuff about updating schools, but not updating schools physically with internet. And then they have the internet. There's so many bills that if you pass them individually, some would go through, some would not go through.
And why do that? If all of it I feel is part of the country's infrastructure, why would I break it up and break it into separate bills?
But it's not.
According to you.
No,
I believe that's all part of the infrastructure.
So you think everything in that bill is infrastructure?
No, everything you just mentioned at least was. I don't know everything that's in the bill. I can't say.
Electric cars are part of infrastructure.
I believe so. Cutting down carbon emissions and trying to make sure that we
The bill should have more money in it for electric cars, or more, an infrastructure bill should have more for electric cars and charging stations. I think it should have more for bridges, roads, and tunnels. Infrastructure bill.
I think it should have, with the position we in now, I think it needs to have both. And why I say that, because reducing carbon emissions, the Pentagon has already said it, and natural disasters caused by climate change have been one of the biggest threats to the United States. Period.
All right. And then now when you put these millions of electric cars on the road and you upgrade the grid, where are you going to get the additional power from?
I don't know. What's part of the bill?
No, you're gonna have to build more. You're gonna have to build more either coal, gas, or here's the thing.
I disagree. I agree. I think the move towards renewable resources would also going to spark innovation and investment into those industries that haven't been there, and we're going to have we have right now ways that they're already improving solar panels because we're going in that direction to make them more efficient. It's just that no investment has been done in it already. So to say,
I think,
who knows at what point there's going to be a tipping point where we need more gas or coal to fuel.
I 100% agree that we can't. You can't live on fossil fuels forever. I agree that we have to move more in a direction of green, but right now, electric cars make up 2% of the market, and he wants to make sure that by the time he's done in 10 years, it's over 50% of the market. That's not going to happen by government mandate. The way it's going to have to happen, that has to happen through the market. The market has to dictate that. You just can't tell.
No. The market can dictate that. If the government says this is a crisis where our country is in danger, hell's yeah, the government can dictate that.
See, I don't want government doing that. To me, that's an overreach.
I don't if the government is going to tell me what type of sneakers I want to buy or clothes, okay, that's one thing. If the government's telling me that our entire country is in danger because of this and I need to do something to stop it, that's not an overreach.
See, I think that's where I think we disagree there. I don't think we're in danger because of it. I think
that's the thing. You don't believe we're in that much danger. That it's not really we fundamentally disagree. It's just that on your side, you don't believe we're that in much danger that we need to act that fast. No, I believe what they're saying, that we need to act that fast.
The science is not settled, because you can't. No one there can tell me.
To me, if 98 or 98% of the scientists say one thing and 2% say no, to me, that's settled. I don't think it's unsettled because 2%.
98% of the scientists, it's not 98% of the climatologists, it's not 90% of the environmentalists, it's 98% of all scientists, meaning like, doctors and anyone who considers himself like Bill was it Bill Nye, the science guy? He's in that survey. He knows nothing about. He doesn't know anything about the climate.
So I don't understand this. Out of that, if it's that 2%, you think it like the majority of the climatologists?
I 100% think that they need to find a way to move into this. The problem is the technology is not there, and it's probably not even going to be there in the next 10 years. But you have
what are you basing that? It's probably not going to be there in 10 years. What are you basing that on?
What? Because why? We're nowhere near where we need to be with the batteries.
Yeah. What are you basing that on? That won't be there. That they won't be able to scale up to meet the need. You're basing that on just a feeling, or basically what you want to say to defend that point.
what I'm saying is that all they're counting on is they keep saying they want to bring
saying,
good jobs.
okay, you can say this. I don't believe they're gonna be able to scale up to that level. Okay, I
I
believe
do.
they're gonna be able to scale up to that level. Who's to say who's right? Who's to say who's right?
Well, no, well, I'll tell you why. Because as of, and I'm basing it on today. As of right now, wind and solar are intermittent power sources. They are not as reliable. I'm not saying efficient, as reliable as fossil fuels currently.
Correct.
Now,
Correct. Today. Right.
like I said, 10 years from now, we may be looking at something different. I
Right.
personally think we should go to nuclear. Nuclear would be the best. It's the most efficient. That gives you the most electric. That gives you the most, and it's not intermittent. It's actually, it could replace fossil fuels. Now, do I think listen? And I'm 100% like, when Puerto Rico was talking about, when they were thinking about building up their grid again, Puerto Rico didn't want to go fossil fuel. The United States and them, and plus other countries, they were trying to get them. They wanted to make Puerto Rico basically all solar. Their main power source just for the island was going to be solar. So that way, if they had a hurricane, instead of, you would have to replace that much infrastructure, you could actually do it. Now, in a place like Puerto Rico, I think solar is and could be a good option because of the size of the island and the size of the population. Also, Puerto Rico doesn't have to support subway systems, and it doesn't have to support the kind of infrastructure that we have to support here on the mainland. Listen, if you ever want to tell me you want to put windmills off of some small town in California or New England, and they want to get their electricity from that, knock yourself out. But you're never going to be able to run a state like New York, San Diego, San Francisco, Chicago, anything based on any technology they have, alternate technology they have right now. As of right now,
you say never because you're looking at today as only today, and then you're looking at no investment. I remember when a computer, to be able to process complex equations, would be a computer that would take up the size of a floor of a building, and now I have that amount of processing power in my pocket on my cell phone. So
100%.
no one believed that anything would be able to be that possible until it was that possible.
And let me ask you this, and to go from that computer on your desk that was this big, or the ones by NASA used where they would do the computation, they took up a room, to your phone, was like 50 years. So I agree with you. I think what they should be doing, they should have if they were smart, they would do two things. You have to. I would try to.
Or another thing where a vaccine, in order to be able to have a vaccine to cure a disease, would take maybe 8 years to produce. And when the world got together and focused on it, they got it done in one. So to say that it's not possible is only framed by the amount of people that will say it's not possible.
No, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's not currently possible, and probably not in the near future. And you have a better alternative to get you from. If you went nuclear could take away coal for sure, and probably oil or gas. And then you could use nuclear, which is much cleaner than those two and more efficient. And you could do that plus improve that, and then that could get you to the newer technology. See, right now we do nuclear fusion. They want to do nuclear fission, which is a completely different. It's nuclear, but it's completely different. And listen. I would be very disappointed in America if I'm in my 80s and we're still using coal refineries. That would be embarrassing.
Yeah, but from the way that you're talking, it would be that way.
No,
you have to.
In other words, you have to keep doing something to maintain what we have now. You can't run a city like New York on the current technology that's alternative. So you have to keep investing in the old technology until the new technology comes out. Right now, the biggest solar.
They are. No one's talking about shutting this down tomorrow. You're talking about doing something over 10 years. 10 years is not a short time. You're talking about trying to implement a change as quickly as possible, but you're still scaling it out. It's not like, okay, this is 2021. We're saying 2022, all the gas cars are going to be shut. That's not the case.
And I hope that I did. You know what it is? I like when things are solved by the market because people want them. I don't think you can force electric cars down people's throats.
I don't like when I don't think so with them. Well, maybe I would agree with you that market stuff if we weren't in the position we are with stuff happening and we see the stuff that's happening through climate change. And also when the market had the opportunity to do the right thing, because this is a capitalist country. I believe it was electric cars probably were introduced and being able to produce maybe like 20, 30 years ago. And when the car companies that were currently in place found out about it, they bought all the cars and crushed them. I'm not sure what company that was, but this is not, the market is not always the best place to go to.
I don't know if that's urban legend or actual legend, but yes, that is out there. I think, you know what needs to happen? You're gonna go another 10 years before electric cars have the same reliability, and I don't mean efficiency, reliability of infrastructure and of capability. Right now, we're close, but a Tesla's like 200 miles, and you got to come home, you got to charge it. It takes a while to charge, and there are limitations to it. And I want them to invest in them, and I think it's a good thing to do. I just don't think the federal government should be doing that. I think they should be, because I think if you build, think about this, if someone builds an electric car that can do everything the regular gas car can do and better at the same price, you won't have to force it down people's throat. They'll just get it. Innovation will take care of that. Now, are you gonna have to leapfrog the Ford and GM and all those companies? Yeah, you're gonna have to find a way to get them out of the way, because they're not just gonna give up their monopoly of gas cars just like that. I agree. But I still think that, that's why I still think it should be a separate bill, because the American people, when the American people hear infrastructure, they think bridges, roads, and tunnels and airports. Those are what we really need. We don't need electric cars this minute. We need those other things this minute.
But they invested in both.
I still think it should be a separate bill, because it's like, I hate all of them. They do this omnibus bill where they put 14 things in there and they call it something like the COVID thing.
But you know what that is though. Anybody can go to a floor and make an amendment and say,
100%.
I want. Yeah. So they have the opportunity to do that.
The Republicans made 256 amendments and they only adopted 4.
They made 256 amendments and only 4 got adopted to the new bill.
That is correct.
Okay. I don't have too much faith in what
I'm sure. Listen, I am no pro-Republican. I am
don't
pro-issue.
Don't lie.
I am pro-issue. I can guarantee you. I'm sure you had 50 amendments where it's complete utter nonsense. I will stipulate that I may go as high as 100. That there's 100 of them where they're putting them out there just so they can say, "Look what I did," and all right, I'll knock that up. But it's not all 256. So, again, when the government gets along better and works better for us, we do better. The problem is the government doesn't work for us, because, I can guarantee you the reason why they want to push electric cars is not because they care about the environment, because they don't. I'm sure one of their big donors or one of their big constituents has a lot of stock in electric cars. So let's do electric cars. I mean, the rumor is, and it's supposedly it's verified, that Nancy Pelosi's husband owns a lot of stock in electric cars.
Yeah.
Now listen.
Also, the movie I see right now is a documentary starring Tom Hanks, Who Killed the Electric Car, a 2006 documentary. I think that talks about it.
Also, you want to watch a good documentary? Watch what's it called? It's about alternative energy. It's called it was very good, eye-opening. Not Evil but Right. And it's about how a lot of green, not evil but right. And it's about how a lot of these green energies are scams. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And what it produces what it takes to make some of this stuff is destructive to the earth.
Is the film Not Evil, Just Wrong?
Correct. That's the one. Thank you. Watch that one.
I'll take
Very good.
And in this documentary, are they pushing for also nuclear?
No, they mentioned it, but it was more about how the without giving it away, the general thrust of the movie is how like if you want to have electric cars, but what you have to do to get the stuff for the battery and what it takes to make the battery actually is more harmful than actually is as harmful or as harmful as gas cars, because you have to refine all this material. You have to you don't realize a lot of this what goes into this.
And it says that the movie is
How you have to ship things a certain way.
The movie is a counter.
By the way, it's not an American movie.
It says that the movie is a counter and challenges Al Gore's and Innocent Truth.
Correct, but it's not an American movie.
Right. All right, now that we got that out of our system, this has been another episode of the New Labor Movement Show. I am once again one of your hosts, Troy.
I am your other host, Ray. And if you get anything from these shows, listen, we're good friends. We disagree on some stuff, but if you really listen to us, we agree on a lot more than you think. And the one thing we do agree on is the PRO Act. I don't care what anyone says, anyone does. Make sure you reach out to your elected officials and push this PRO Act. It's not perfect, but it's 100 times better than where we're at right now.
That's one thing that could bring people together, unions. People rally around unions.
I think Republicans there are Republicans who want unions and Democrats who want unions. And let's be realistic. They help the average man no matter what your political stripe is. I agree. I agree with 100%. I think you could be a good Republican leaning guy and love unions. And I think you could definitely be a good Democrat leaning that way and be a good union man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely do some more on the PRO Act coming up. But once again, this is another episode of the New Labor Movement Show, and we are signing out.
In 1996, electric cars began to appear on roads all over California. They were quiet and fast, produced no exhaust, and ran without gasoline. 10 years later, these futuristic cars were almost entirely gone. What happened? Why should we be haunted by the ghost of the electric car?
The exciting thing about this is the cost of operating the car is the same as if you were driving a typical gasoline car, but the gasoline only costs 60 cents a gallon.
I plug it in at night, and when I need to drive it, I unplug, drive it away.
Believe it or not, that sucker goes. That thing will take you so fast you could get a ticket.
Wow, I didn't know this existed. How come I don't know about this? Have you seen this on TV?
People who control the marketplace today, the oil companies, have a strong incentive to discourage alternatives.
They make too much money with their technological stagnation and the internal combustion engine.
For the last 15 years, they've been telling us the fuel cells are 10 to 15 years old.
There's still roughly 1 trillion barrels worth of oil in the Earth's crust. That's $100 trillion worth of business yet to be done.
General Motors made a commitment to the Hummer because they could see the Hummer would make them money.
The electric vehicle is not for everybody. It can only meet the needs of 90% of the population.
We're up against the automobile industry, the oil industry. It's David versus Goliath.
Who killed the electric car?
Lack of corporate wisdom.
In my opinion, it's big oil.
The murder was committed by the General Motors company.
What's interesting, you're going to be shredding some new cars. Why are you shredding them up?
A little bit of a mystery, really.
That seems like a shame.
I think it will go down as one of the biggest blunders in the history of the automotive industry.
I promise you, the day will come.
We really are facing a potentially ecological Armageddon.
It's a real threat, and it's coming. You go on the internet and check it out.
Basically, the problem is cars, coal, and buildings.
It's not going to be painless.
I think we need to freeze it.
I don't think it would be a bad thing for this Earth to warm up. In fact, ice is the enemy of life.
Al Gore gives the impression that sea level is going to rise by 20 feet in the very near future. Now, that is a very disturbing misstatement of the science.
20th century is certainly not the warmest in 1,000 years, and we also have scientific data to show this.
If the factory closed down, this area would die.
You're talking more about 7 million jobs in the United States.
That would bring civilization crashing down to its knees, and hundreds of millions of people would die.
We need industry. If there's going to be a generation to carry on after this one, we have to have it.
Al Gore needs to just go on about his business somewhere else.
A lot of environmental activists still have not come to accept that the humans are also part of the environment.
You're comparing birds with people. You'd rather save the birds and lose the people.
Or do they want to go back to the Dark Ages and the Black Plague?
We're human beings. We all have a right to be here.
I'll leave you with this tantalizing thought. What if Henry Ford had got somebody else to make the batteries? What if he wasn't so determined to push into Edison's battery and make that happen? What if he'd used a proper power source? What if the Model T, or the next model he created, or the Model Z, was electric powered and succeeded? Where would we be now? Where would Ford be now? It's an amazing, tantalizing thought into the future. I think the next 10 years is going to change absolutely everything on Earth, and it's such an exciting time to be alive. It's such an exciting events that are happening around us right now. I have rediscovered nature during this pandemic, and I mean in a big way, I really do respect what our bees and birds and our little plants and our little butterflies that are passing by. I just respect what they're trying to do now, and I hope we continue to respect that. And at the same time, I want us to keep developing good products that give people good choice and value for money. I hope the electric car actually succeeds, because if it does, it will save the petrol and diesel cars that are good and worth saving out there, because that's what the electric car did the first time for horses.
I do not believe in the apocalyptic, catastrophic, doomsday approach to environmentalism that has been adopted now by so many people in the movement, and has caught on with people like Al Gore telling us that we are doomed. Like, the end is nigh has been around for thousands of years. People have been preaching the end of the world since the beginning of the world. So far it hasn't happened. And so, you know, I kind of put my bets on human beings being around for quite a bit longer yet, and learning to adapt and evolve with changing circumstances. And I think we're actually beautiful, and that we have a place in the scheme of things.
At its best, a modern society ought to be able to say, you know something, there's a problem here, but we'll be able to deal with it.